Welcome to the recording for the Angular part of sessions. All right, sessions in Angular is actually simple, but we have a lot of infrastructure to build. So as a reminder, we have a student controller, we have a user controller. We have a couple new endpoints. We have login and then log out, right? Right. Now logout is going to look a lot like our delete method that we created in our previous application. Very similar, okay? However, very, very similar. However, the student controller app is all built, right? What we have, the student search, we have a search, we have a whatchamacallit, we all built the back end of it. And so it's all working. The student application is all working. We just have to create a login. It's the only thing we need to create. We actually have a lot to generate, but let's start with login. This login component actually is going to go very quickly, but it's our very first thing that we have to do, and we cannot get around it. So this is simply a form. I'm going to go to add student. I'm going to show you why. I want the whole add student. Yes, I'm aware it's going to all break. Great. That's fine. I'm going to show you why in a second. First of all, I want the on submit. Don't need my form, but I do want this. I do want this, do want this. Okay. We don't want the list of students anymore. We'll stick with login. Yes. We no longer need the errors, nor do we need the anything else. Okay. We just want, where is it? Oh yeah, we just want this. Okay. We just want the label. And I'm going to go with username. Okay. Literally nothing else. And you go, why not? Well, if there's something wrong, we're going to wipe out the whole form and let them start over. Period. End of story. Right? End of story. Okay. Now, all we're going to do is put required here. And we're going to use a model, of course. Right? And we're going to, oh, required is already over there. ng model, we're going to leave it as is for now. We're going to come back. Okay. And then instead of redoing the universe, I'm just going to copy the username. You'll see why I'm doing this. Basic form 10 boilerplate actually takes a minute. And we're just going to change this to a password field. And the field name is going to be password. We're going to leave the model. Again, I'm leaving the model. I'm just going to change this to password. Okay. I don't need that because I'm actually not doing validation. You'll see what I mean in a minute. Okay. The most important one here is that they're both required. Okay. In order to make this work, I need to actually have a user. And you go, wait, what? Well, we need a user. And our user is going to model the same user that we have on the server side. So let's do that now before we get too far. Generate class user. And while I'm at it, I'm going to generate a service user. Yes. And you go, why am I doing that? Well, we're going to model the login just like we did with the other one. We're not going to have them all be a service. We're going to have them be slightly separate. So the user service is going to have a, I don't remember. So we're going to look at the student service and I'm just going to copy and paste. I'm going to go to the user and I'm going to copy and paste. So this one's going to be username. And this one's going to be password. Those are both going to be strings. String. And then finally, admin, or was it is admin? I think it is admin. It's going to be Boolean. Okay. This one's going to be not as obvious. Okay. So we're going to have to double check this when we come back into login. Okay. You go, what do you mean? Well, pretty quickly, is admin is going to come in blank if we named it incorrectly because we have never passed it. And as a result of never actually passing it, we don't actually know what it's going to look like when we run it. So we want to make sure that's there. All right, then I want to grab the student service stuff. And I know you're thinking, wait, what? Watch this. I'm going to get, yeah, you know what? I'm going to copy it all. I'll explain why in a second. This is not what you should do. But I did it on purpose. So I want the post. I don't want any of this other stuff, but I want the post. That's it. And you go, wait, what? I'll explain in a minute. We're going to go ahead and fix the imports first. We're going to come back and say user URL. This is going to force us to come back through and verify it, right? If you go back to user controller, you see it is just log in and log out. So you don't really need, oops, don't know why I have that there, or I have that. All right. Not sure why that was there. At least it wasn't weird. So we're going to stick with that. So we're going to have this be login, and this is going to take a user, type user, observable, just get this service. Imports being a jerk. I'll just do all this user service, bank. We don't need student. We do need user though. Boom. And so we're going to come back with user URL. And this is going to be a login. Okay. And we're going to pass the user. Ta-da. This is very, very important. We'll talk about this in a detail later. This is not going to work by default, but we want this to look just like this. Now, while we're at it, I'm going to do the logout as well. It is a get, so I shouldn't have gotten rid of all the other ones. I can just do it pretty quickly here. And yes, and it's a get. And let me double check that endpoint doesn't actually pass any parameters. So, oops, what's that opening up? Close all that. Doesn't open any parameters, so we don't need any. But it's going to be logout. Okay. Pretty simple. We don't need users, so we can get rid of that. All right. Now, we're going to come back to this later. We're going to actually talk about this in detail later because we're going to actually have this on every page. And so how do we manage this service everywhere? We'll talk about that in more detail as we go along. It's actually quite simple, but we'll have that everywhere. But that's your two endpoints that we have. So now our user service is ready to be injected wherever we need it. And of course, we're going to need it in the login component. Yay! All right, so let's go back to our login component. And we're no longer going to have a thing. We're going to have a username, and then user dot password. Okay, ta-da! And that's it. And you go, wait, what? Yeah, so the first thing we're going to do is routes. And we're going to go here. And I'm going to say login component is going to be login component. Please log in, right? Yay, I put that second because it's just easier to copy the second one than it is the first one because the comma. Pretty simple. Let's see if I can format this. I've never tried. Yep, it does format. Good. I like it to be formatted better. So that's great. Okay, so the login component is working. We have the login.html, we have the username and user password. Let's go and do with the component. So the very first thing we're going to have is a user, and it's going to be a user object. We need a constructor, And our constructor is going to have a bunch of different stuff. So we're going to actually go to not student list. I want to go back to add student. I'll show you why. Because these things right here, I want them. Okay, I'll explain in a minute. So your login components, we want the user service, not the what's called, but we still want the router. We don't have to specify anything, but I'm going to say I give it that explicit import, and we'll fix these imports. Yay! All right, the reason I'm using the add student a lot is a lot of this stuff is going to look just like the add student component. Okay, I mean literally, right? So the on student, you see the on, oops, on submit, right? Big. I copy it and we get a login. Okay, so we don't need form. We don't need to reset the form. Can we? Yes. Do we? No. We are going to screw around a little bit. Okay. And you go, what do you mean? Well, when there's an error, we're going to report the error to the user. And you're like, wait, what? Yeah, we're going to report the error to the user. We're not doing that yet. First, we're going to start off by doing the same stuff we did before. And I'm not joking. It looks exactly the same. That's why I left it. Except we're not going to navigate. Okay. Well, we are, but so we don't care about any of this. We do want to report the error. So I do want to go console.log. They're going to log in. And then we're going to log the error. We're going to come back after we get this sudo working. And I know you're thinking, wait, what? We're going to get this sudo working before we come back and let's go navigate by URL, and we're going to navigate to the list. Okay. This is not going to work. I know it's not going to work, but it's a basic login. I wanted to get a basic front down before we actually played around. But now I think we're close enough to start playing around with ng-serve. I should have clicked O. I didn't click O. Of course I did not. All right. Yeah, it's not a model because it's not in my imports. So we need forms module. I don't know if we'll eventually need the common module. So let's go ahead and import those two. I believe, yeah, that's what it needed. All right, so we're going to localhost 4200. Now, so I want you to be aware, not a lot is going to work. Okay. And you go, what do you mean? I'll show you. Remember, we set that the you have to log in, blah, 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 blah. Well, yeah, you're getting a whole bunch of 401s. Oh, well, the server's not running. That's its own issue. Let's make the server at least run. Okay, so we'll refresh the page. But you're getting an unauthorized what's called. So let's try to log in. Get here. I know what that's doing. Okay, don't remember the username and password, so let's go look it up. It's user controller. Ruth, admin, and me, Ruth, right? So Mike and Ruth are both regular users. So we should be able to log in as Mike. Let's go to Mike. Mike, click add student. We haven't done it yet. It's been blocked. Yay. All right, you go, wait, cores, wait, cores. I don't have cores on this guy, so I need to do that. And you're like, wait, what? Yes, you have to have it everywhere you're going to use it. Number one. This isn't going to solve the problem, by the way, but this is a start. I'm slow walking you to the problem solution. Trust me. There's a lot more to do than this. Okay. Then we go back, we refresh the page. Then we're gonna log in as Mike and Mike. Yay. Username and password goes here. How come I'm not logged in? It's actually pretty simple. Okay. So what's actually happening is your credential's not going from one page to the other. And you're like, wait, what? You remember how you have to save a session and you store that session ID? Well, they're not being passed back and forth. And so this does nothing. It works. The endpoint connects because they're cross origin, but it's not actually allowing any credentials to go through. We actually have to do allow credentials. It's true here. Oh, sorry. Yay. And then I have to, I'm sorry, my nose is running. And then I have to do it over here. Yay. Is that still enough? Not really. Okay. I don't know how long I've been recording, so I may want to stop the recording real quick. But this is, you're going to see it's not actually enough. I'm going to log in, I'm going to Mike, and we're still getting to 401. Okay. I'll explain why in a second. We want to stop the recording and come back. I don't want these to be too long. I already have a 32-minute and 28-minute one, so let's stop.